You know, this game will probably not go platinum, but at the very least, it can get double Myrne. This is Myrne, the quest from Beldarak Games. It's on the Unity engine. You can pick her up for around 10 of your local wet stinky currency. What is it? Myrne, the quest is a single-player, first-person action RPG. Get back to the world of the Myrne with its silly humor and discover why the night never goes away in this new Region. So it faces the CHAIRQUISITIONs just like many, many games before it. So it gets the 1 chair if it's garbage, 2 chairs if it's meh, 3 chairs if it's pretty good, 4 chairs if it's amazing. We also got the categories of Doom, mixed with the working, shiny sounds, controls, and fun. So let's kick this off, because this thing has a bit of a learning curve, doesn't it, Ben?
Oh, I mean, just a bit, but here's this. How does it run over here on the Ubuntu 1604.2. whatever it is this week? Box of business 8150, currently powered by 980, displayed at UHD, which don't even try that with this game. It's doing good to stay at 1080p. Here's the dice right out of the box. You know, it's 2017, and guess what? They just released a game that doesn't fucking what's the word? Launch. Yes, launch out of the box. This game doesn't do it. It's never fucking heard of it. It's incapable. You know that, and this motherfucker struggles to hold 30 at 1080p in that first dungeon. And more realistically, it's around 16 or 20 FERPs. Oh, and that's really, really going to grind your gear organs when we get around to the shiny it sounds. But yeah, check this out, man. If you're doing this shit and you're releasing this shit on Steam, it's not early access. I don't know how you didn't fucking test it. Don't tell me you did. 1 chair right in your face.
Yeah. On the Fedora 2464-bit with the i7-6700K and the GTX 980. Yeah, you can't launch this out of the box. You got to go edit the prefs file. Idro has, if you go into the show notes, there's a path to it in Pedro's section. But you have to disable full screen. You have to, because if you don't disable full screen, what happens is it will start up in a big window. It'll give you a cursor and then nothing. Mm-hmm. And you gotta Alt F4 the game or kill 9 it or whatever. Go into the pref file, set it in windowed mode. Don't even set it at UHD because that's just not gonna fly. You gotta set that at 1080p. So I was playing this in a 1080p window in the little big ass 4K monitor. And don't think that once you get into the game, because it will trick you. If you go into the options menu and click full screen, it works until the next time you launch it. At which point you're back. You're back to square one. Got to edit the prefs file. Gotta set full screen off. Got to set the resolution in both places because it will it has the this is the UI set resolution. This is the initial launch set resolution. Oh no, boys. This is not how you do shit. 1 chair.
Yeah, so I've actually been ever since the developer sent us keys. I've been going back and forth with him, sending him feedback saying, look, it doesn't work. And to be fair, he's been trying to fix things as they show up. But this launch issue happened recently when they updated to the new version of Unity. And yes, like Ballistic Overkill before it, you need to disable full screen at runtime. Just you can go to the prefs file, like Jordan mentioned. There will be a little command that you can run. In the show notes, just Control F full screen.
By the way, you should switch it to VI because I didn't have Get It installed on my system.
But yeah, no. Just Control F full screen and change that from a 1 to a 0. It's pretty easy. Now, once you get in game proper, it defaults to 4 times MSAA. And we all know what MSAA does when we're talking about Unity games. You can't really turn it off because, according to the developer, there were some issues with some of the stuff he made in the game. So the only way he found to work around it was to always have MSAA enabled at all times. And the lowest you can go is 2 times. So if you want to have at least decent FERPs, you need to lower it to 2 times. But over here on the FX 8370E and the GTX 1080, at 1080p with Ubuntu Mate 1604, it gets 2 chairs.
Ugh. So that's one chair for mixed with working. Not a good start. Shiny and sounds. Ven, did it impress you with its voxely goodness?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening, like most of you are, but if you're watching here, you're going to see what I'm talking about. What does this look like? Well, it kind of looks like a bunch of store-bought assets crammed together. I'm not necessarily... I'm not saying that they are, but I'm just saying that's what it looks like. That to the game's credit, they're kind of following a theme of, okay, everything's dark. I guess I'll give them that. And it's all flat, not much with the shading, not really anything with the textures. I mean, this looks like This looks like a PS1 game that you're playing in an emulator with a, at a higher resolution, basically. Which again, it runs like such ass. But as far as the sounds, it's got some repetitive bullshit humming in the background. Kind of nope that right quick. And technically, if you listen hard enough, things do go beep and or boop. But again, this just kind of comes across as like a meh effort, like a lazy effort. It's like, okay, yeah, just looking at the trees, it's the same fucking tree, just copy and pasted to infinity, and there's so much of that tree. Characters all basically the same fucking thing, and just the same units pasted over and over and over again. Oh. One chair, fuck this game.
Yeah, I mean, there are times when minimalism can be an interesting and compelling design choice. This is not one of those times. Everything looks bland and the same. The lighting in this game is so bad. I get that it's supposed to be like dark at night, but even with torchlight, it's really difficult to make things out, which gets really annoying too. I got stuck on like one of that first part in the dungeon because I didn't see, you're supposed to move these things onto these things because they weren't immediately apparent unless you're standing on top of them. So that was definitely a thing. All the characters kind of look like a 5-year-old drawing that has been extrapolated to like a game sprite, which doesn't really do it any favors either. I had my headphones on. There were sounds playing that didn't even really register. I couldn't even tell you what they were. Like that's how little of an impact they actually made. Yeah, it's not very compelling at all. Not really engaging. You can kind of look past it, sort of, but it's no. Maybe go with a more defined art style as opposed to you know what? Let's take the Final Fantasy sprite and make it 3D. One chair.
Well, outside of Minecraft, this voxely art style has always looked to me completely unimaginative. There was a game called Eldritch, which did the whole voxel, big pixel, squarey art style, but they complemented it with proper atmosphere and few very subtle visual clues. In Myrne the Quest, there is no atmosphere. Swinging your weapons about has almost no feedback whatsoever, whether it's sounds or even just the things that you hit. Yeah, there may be some red squares shooting off of them to indicate blood, but there's very little in the way of feedback. Combat just looks and feels very drab. You need to actually keep your eyes along the bottom of the screen to see the enemy HP bar and see how you're doing and if you're going to be able to kill it before it kills you. So if you're forcing me to look down the bottom of the screen, I'm not going to be looking at anything else. And to be fair, there's not much else to look at either, for being honest. I can't give it one chair because it technically shows something and it technically makes sound, so 2 chairs.
Yeah, it's still not going to stop it from getting 1 chair there, Pedro. How about controls, though? Do you think it'll fare better then?
Well, I was going to try this with a Nintendo Power Pad, but it would probably have caused it to catch fire. Listen, everything works, the best I can tell, but the game kind of leaves you to figure out, just what the fuck everything does. It just might genuinely make a bit more sense if you Minecraft bro and or sis. But I'm going to get to that more in the fun section because this genuinely made me pull up the keyboard controls. Like, how the fuck do I do half this shit? And Jordan's going to tell you about some of the additional fuckery with the navigation and the menus and all that other bullshit. but it does technically work, and there's a very, very generous 2 chairs, only on a technicality.
Yeah, so, movement is pretty standard, right? You got your WASD, up, down, left, right, BA, start, select. There's a little infuriating twist, because most games you play, when you want to bring up the inventory, you hit the I button, which, I for inventory, that makes sense, right? No, it's tab, which gets really annoying, because I immediately go for I, then I'm like, oh, right, yeah, tab. And everything is in that tab menu. Your level advancement, your inventory, whatever. And that, I can sort of get that. That's a choice. Keep everything on one side of the keyboard. I can understand in theory why you would want to do this. What I don't understand is whenever you want to read something, you don't pick it up. You got to mouse over it, and then if it has multiple pages, you scroll up to go to another page, which is so counterintuitive, right? Because usually scrolling up means going to the beginning of the document, unless you're on a Macintosh, which I doubt these people actually are. And scrolling down means going to the next page. Not the case here. The crafting subsystem here basically devolves to, you got to unlock, you got to go find in the dungeon the person who will make you things or sell you things, and you just exchange things. Or on the odd chance, for, say, cooking or breaking down items, you throw them at an object, and then they magically turn into other things. It's not Minecraft at all. Minecraft has, a crafting system. They have, a tiered crafting system that has, a very interesting dependency map. And part of the game is actually progressing through the tech tree. This has none of it. And especially, and I'll get to this in the phone section, but if you suck at the unlocking minigame, yeah, you're going to be engaging with that a lot to get your lockpicks. Things work. They were sort of thought out, much in the same way that I think out my meal prep while I'm on drugs. So 2 chairs.
Honestly, at first, there were issues with the mouse, but the developer, full credit, he has fixed those, and the controls, they kind of work exactly how you'd expect them to. You can have your WASD if you want to remap it to the directional arrows, you can. The mouse sensitivity sliders work. So as far as I'm concerned, I have no issues with the controls. I have many issues, but the controls are not one of them, so 4 chairs.
Well, again, doesn't really tip the scales all that much. 2 chairs for controls. Let's put a bow on it. Ven, despite all the warts, did you enjoy Myrne, the quest for fire?
First off, this game, I genuinely think this game assumes I have some basic understanding of Minecraft. I don't, Brad. I don't. Secondly, you might want to note those 3 reviews on the store page, because they read sketchy as hell, if you know what I'm saying. All right. Free tip from your friendly neighborhood bin. So what do we have here, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Well, let me tell you. Best guess, something that kind of it read about. No, it knew a friend who had an uncle that had read about what Minecraft voxely bullshit was, and they took that knowledge, tried to recreate something similar to it, and throw some fucking quest in. That's really all I could gather in my 56 minutes of playtime. And quite frankly, that's 50 more minutes than this game deserved. But hey, it has crafting, so fucking go buy it, right? The only thing I genuinely found interesting about Myrne was how you managed to make an octo-core CPU paired with a 980, average 18 to 24 FERPs in that first fucking dungeon. And I know why, because I can see I'm getting there. And see what you did. You didn't split it up, because you can see through the fucking walls half the time when it's fucking up like it's going to do. Guess what? It's loading the whole goddamn thing. And this is not a Linux issue. This is a fucking Windows issue. Read your damn forums. All right? That's just bad design. You fucking know it. This is a perfect example. You hear Pedro's like, well, they fixed that and fixed it. Pedro's talking about some basic shit that is built into Unity. You have to go out of your way to fuck some of the shit up in this game that the developer managed to fuck up, that Unity can just do for you if you know just remotely what the hell you're doing. This is a good example of building something, maybe having an idea and just letting Unity do all the heavy lifting. It doesn't bake the damn cake for you, son, which You know, I don't even want to say I have truly reviewed this game because we like to put a full 2 hours in at minimum for this. All I've really done is save you from getting hit with a refund, because anyone who picks this up is probably just going to fucking refund it well under that 2 hour period anyway, because it's not there. I went back and looked at your 2D hipster pixel game. That looked competently done. This, I don't know, man. Whatever drugs you're doing, keep them the fuck away from me, and I'm pro drugs. I'm just saying, those particular ones that spit this shit out, yeah, put them back. Bad times, one chair.
Yeah, this is a game that has very little in the way of impact, because it's basically just a crappy-looking Elder Scrolls romp through some dark, musty corridors. You know, sometimes a skeleton appears, sometimes it's a zombie pirate, and you got to kill them. The combat is really, really bad. It's not engaging. I tried... So I picked like the wizard build that gives you the, you get the potions, you get the staff that gives you the shield against the projectile weapons that no one actually fucking uses because it's all rats and pirates in the first dungeon anyways. And yeah, so you find they give you like an axe, and it's like a shitty axe. It does like 1 damage at a time. There's a dodge skill in here that I got like 1 level in from like walking through a trap. I don't even know how that happened, because the combat, you basically run up to him. There's not enough reach on your melee weapon to like not get in the face of the enemy, who will just stab you back, and then it's just who has the more hit points at the end of the fight. And then you find the room that has a little fireball wand, and you go, okay, yeah, sure, I'll be the wizard. I'll go shoot fireballs at people, and it'll be great. And the fireballs do fucking all damage. They burn through your mana really, really quickly, and you periodically get this notification, hey, your magical weapon skill increased. And it shows up in the inventory page, but I don't see any tangible benefits. It looks like the damage being dealt is pretty much the same, despite the fact that I have 5 out of 11 ranks in it. Yeah, there's speaking of that, there's like the Elder Scroll-esque use-based skill system that seems really tacked on, because again, you don't really know what impact your thing has. Elder Scrolls will be like, hey, yeah, this increases your damage or your snake chance or whatever. This, find out maybe if it does something. There's like you can advance your abilities, and again, I don't really see what this does. So like the magic thing increases your regeneration. There's a bunch of very circumstantial things. Your stats ultimately don't seem to matter all that much. You know what? I'll give it credit for one thing. I do like the circular-ass interconnected dungeon design. That is a really clever way of saying, oh, hey, yeah, we're going to make the most out of a very small area, and your exploration is rewarded by creating shortcuts. So good on you for some well-decayed dungeon design. Although it is fairly bare-boned and, you know, giant rats and zombies and skeletons. They're a trope of the fantasy genre, but maybe do something a little different. And then it hard-locked my X session. About 1.5 hours in. So I thought to myself, well, can I move my mouse? I could onto the other X screen running on the separate GPU. So I gave that a kill 9, and I went back to Steam. Like, I was about to click play, and then I thought to myself, I don't care anymore. This game does nothing for me. So the really, really lackluster gameplay combined with the boring ass art style, it's hard to find something enjoyable about this game. So I got to give it 1 share.
Yeah, and this is the point where, much like Ven and Jordan, I ran out of fucks to give, because there was an attempt made here, an attempt to make a humorous action RPG. What you end up with is actually a bland fantasy first-person shooter with Minecraft-like graphics, zero feedback as to whether or not you're actually interacting with the world around you, contrived puzzles/quests, very little in the way of humor, and almost no signposting as to what you need to do. Now, don't get me wrong. I've played and enjoyed many games with very little signposting. But in order to, for a game to motivate you to go out and explore the world, it needs to actually let you go out and explore the world. If you start railroading people right from the get-go and stop them from having their little exploration bit early on, they will assume that your game is not about exploration and will expect some guidance or at least a clear linear path to follow. Most games will do that, or they will do the exact opposite. This one sits right in the middle like a deer in the headlights and doesn't really do anything spectacularly bad or really amazing. It's mediocre. And I've mentioned many, many times how much I hate mediocrity in video games, but this one manages to take the cake because I played up to the point where I could not progress any further. I'm 2.9 hours in, according to Steam, and I got to a point in a dungeon where I need to solve a puzzle to open a pair of doors. I can't progress. There's no way, there's nothing I can do that makes it progress. I have almost complete certainty what I need to do. I just can't do it because the game is broken. It's mediocre and it's broken on a technical level. I'm sorry, but this is one chair.
Well, one chair for fun. Tally that all up. It's very rare that we actually get a straight up one chair game on like the CHAIRQUISITION. Usually there's something redeemable about this. I have to stretch to find like anything remotely good. Usually I try to find a silver lining. Maybe this isn't my style of game. Maybe someone else will enjoy it because they prefer this genre or something like that. There's just nothing here. What do you think, Ben?
Here's the thing, man. I mean, what normally would save it in a CHAIRQUISITION is the ability to start. Launching, running. That's always seems to be an A+ with people who buy games. You know, call us crazy, call us picky, call us a bit demanding, but it doesn't run. The game starts out in fuck you hard mode. And the reason, you know, all three of us, I'm sure before I read Pedro's thing, yeah, we're old Linux users. All right, that's gamification for us as I go. But then again, we played a lot of games in our years. So we knew, okay, this is Unity. You just know it's Unity when you launch. When it doesn't launch, even when it does that fucky screen. It's like, take it out of full screen. Let's see. And all that going. Again, I kind of knew what I was in. Right when you go down the first Devel, it was like, oh, there's no rope. And you get to the bottom of the well, there's a fucking rope. And I'm like, yeah, all right, this put together. And it has some self attempts at humor. I don't know. Maybe I'm too old to get it, or maybe it's just not all that funny. I didn't dig it all that much. It's a thing. Again, I don't feel bad about anything I've said about this game because it didn't launch.
Yeah, and there isn't really humor in this game. They try to be self-referential, but that's where it stops. Not self-referential humor. It's not self-deprecating humor. It's just self-reference. And that just makes you look like a ponce, if we're being honest. And if you made your game with Minecraft-style graphics, well, let's just say I don't care.
Yeah, so that about wraps up for the CHAIRQUISITION. Don't buy Myrne the Quest.